Well, the weekly show going through all the movies, TV, and entertainment that people just can't cut away from. I'm your co-host Arturo, but joining me from the CGI Beyond, it's Zachary Shevich.
What's going on, man? I'm really happy to be here for another week on the Intercut in the same place I always am for Intercut.
As always, just
my
consistent,
set, my studio, my
doing
apartment.
what we need to do.
Yeah,
as we talk about the
we just want to
latest
keep things normal.
Movies. That's it. Hey, and what normal way than to go to the theater to watch a movie about a pop star that nobody knows, and he's played by a monkey? Why not go to the theater and watch The Last Showgirl, one of the most beautiful actresses that we've had, in no makeup with no job by the end of that movie, or maybe even go catch Den of Thieves 2, which is still going on if you start watching it on Thursday, because they bloated that bad boy to bits. But we've got SAG nominations. We got DGA nominations. I don't know if you caught some older movies to get the podcast corner for the throwbacks over here, but we got all that and more here on the Weekend Must Watch on Intercut. It's a good week.
Yeah, it's a packed week. It's a lot of stuff. 2025. It's really going now, which is good. You know, we spent a lot of time talking about the last year in movies, but we're getting set for a whole new year in movies. We're
talking about January 2025 movies, which are all 2024 movies.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It is. It somehow has become the month that was a dumping ground and has accidentally become the dumping ground for diamonds. Any movies that y'all did not get the chance to catch, even us. I had a couple of festival movies. The Fire Inside, which you came out raving. I caught the last screening of this bad boy in our theater. It was so worth catching in theaters, but even more than that, it ends and you're like, why is this sports movie so well written? Oh, that's right.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Written by Barry Jenkins.
He's kind of good at what he does. Yeah. Last Showgirl you caught at TIFF last year. It's getting its rollout now. 2024 campaign. Better Man last year. People like myself are wondering, why do the musicals keep getting weirder? But surprisingly, the monkey one was the best one. Yeah. And there's a whole discussion being had about that one, but with those movies and the biggest one of this year so far being Den of Thieves 2, we've got a whole week of reviews coming at you. Along with some TV pilots, we'll be covering 2 doctor shows and another show that needed a lot of doctors because they went to places on that one, and it is a disgusting documentary out on Netflix. Like we said, we're going to be talking about some nominations. Zach's got a chart to pinpoint scientifically who is going to be nominated on Oscars Day, which is no longer this week. It's no longer Sunday. The gods answered your prayers, Zachary Shevich. We will be together for the Oscar nominations.
Don't pin what's going on me.
Am I waking up? I probably will not. We will all be traveling, and then the first screening we have.
Yeah. It's funny, like we
right?
For years have done the Oscar nominations together because they always lined up with our trips to the Sundance Film Festival. And we thought this was going to be a year where that wouldn't happen because they moved them up a week. And alas, the universe has had other plans for us. It's not the best outcome, obviously, but it's one that we'll take advantage of.
That is what, 2 weeks from now? Next week, technically, because it would be next Thursday.
10 days.
Thursday.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner, so catch up on all of your movies. We will be talking about some of the nominations, what we think is probably going to be a really good winner there. But overall, I had a pretty football-packed week. After I had my movies, I went, like I told you, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, just back-to-back screenings. I did a 5-movie day. Had to practice those muscles for the upcoming Sundance, but it was a bunch of really great movies, stuff I got to catch up on that we'll be discussing here. Other than sports for me, I know you've been a little busy. You've been moving around some stuff. Your set looks beautiful, Zach.
Thank you.
But for the most part, you've been able to catch anything else?
No, I mean, mostly just been reorganizing here, trying to keep things in order in Casa de Shevich, that things sometimes can be out of place, but I like to maintain my corner of Intercut dumb over here. But aside from that, just a little more catching up with the Naked Gun franchise. I'm getting ready for that movie whenever that comes out.
Pam Anderson is in it.
Yeah, Pam Anderson is
for the new one.
So that brings us full circle a little bit.
I'm excited for that.
Other than that, I don't know if there's a whole lot else. I did spend a little time with your girl, Philomena Kunk, on Netflix.
Funny, right?
I mean, it's so funny. It's just like full of jokes, which is something I feel like I don't get enough of.
I heard her do an interview because I was like, okay, I know your bit, but I've never heard you talk. Might be
Right.
worse. Might be worse. The way she talks about the character, especially, is insane. But no, yeah, some good stuff wrapping up for streaming. I've been tuning into the football games in particular. They did those Nickelodeon ones where it's SpongeBob and Patrick.
Yeah,
Dude,
instead
at least
of
the highlights.
or yeah, they're
The
like the
announcers, yeah.
play-by-play announcers or whatever.
Yeah, they're the color commentary, and you
But
got
it's
like the
also
actual
like
guy
a
from
bunch of
CBS. Yeah,
cartoons. Yeah, it's
Dora the Explorer comes up when there's an interception. No, sorry. Swiper comes up when there's an interception. And they yell,
perfect.
Swiper, no swiping. When they miss a wide receiver, she comes out and she says, did you see the wide receiver? It's Zach, there's no business for this broadcast to be that good. But it really is. I want to see Tom Brady and Patrick co-star. I want to see them play off of each other, do a Super Bowl or something like that. But even if you could just catch the highlights, my early recommendation as a non-movie related, but still video, like go catch the highlights. There's a 30-minute video up on YouTube. It is some of the funniest broadcasting that has been done. You don't need to care about football. They teach you football in real time. But the live commentary from SpongeBob and Patrick, and I'm blanking on the announcer because he does real football. And then to do this, shouts out to you, my man. I don't know if you heard about the Skip Bayless thing, but we personally hate Skip Bayless in this house. Screw that man.
Yeah, I've been on Hate Skip Bayless, so
And if you
no
heard,
change here.
man's had a terrible 2025, and I hope it gets worse for him. This is what I want to see in sports: SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy Cheeks, and the commentator that I'm skipping out on from CBS. But that was some really good stuff there.
I'd be really curious to see like what an actual child's reaction is to that broadcast if they
Me, I said it was great, Zach. I said it was fun. They get viewers. They had some dumb viral moments. The coach, Jim Harbaugh, got taken by some. I feel so ridiculous saying this, but he got kidnapped in the middle of the game, Zach, by a dirty bubble. And
I saw that.
Did you see that they lost and they tied it to the dirty bubble? You see, you can't get stuff like this from regular NFL broadcasts. Only special edition, special jury ones. But that was my weekend. Other than that, I'm curious to see what the inner cuties have been up to. Big shout out to those in the chat. Right before we were hopping on, we were doing our Patreon hangout. Shout out to all the patrons who were there. But we also had another special shout out in the chat from Max Loss. Zach, if you want to read it.
Yeah, Max said, "Hey guys, recent film gems, The Graduates, directed by Hannah Peterson and EP by Chloe Zhao. It's a teen drama with a great cast. This filmmaker is going places in the future. Would recommend. MVPs are John Cho and Maria Dizia, a couple actors that we've had some time for on this podcast. Max, of course, is referencing our recently dropped Hidden Gems of 2024 video where we went even deeper on our favorite films of the last year, but we did not mention this one. So shouts to Max for putting The Graduates on our radar. It looks pretty interesting.
Good find. I like that. We've always said we're not here to put we're selfish. We're giving you suggestions because we just want to get the better ones from y'all.
Right?
I'm gonna keep that one there. Thank you, Max.
Yeah, Max also asked us if the Intercut crew has gotten their tickets for Sundance yet, because single film tickets go on sale January 16th, which is coming soon. So one more reminder that if you are trying to get those single film tickets at Sundance, the opening is coming up this week.
And a reminder that it's in person and it's also online tickets. So several of the categories will be online. So some of you may forget that you can see movies from the comfort of your own home. We have an entire video. We broke down a couple of the ways to see them, all the categories, but all of us, including Amanda, gave you our top 10 most anticipated. Gauge that. Many of those will be online. I think it's the best way to experience the festival without all of the extra travel fees. So please do that. But in terms of our picks, I know you're about to mention how we got our screeners.
Yeah, we do have some screeners. He was saying, what are the best places for Sundance resale options? I don't know if there's anything other than through the festival website, right? Like
you may know more about this. We had a really good year in 2020 where we were able to book stuff, and whenever we had a double up, you were able to give them away. I think they may have changed that, but your best option is going to maybe find people reselling it on Facebook. I think Reddit has been one of the best places because they're going to have to like email it to you directly if that's still an option. They got really tight about that.
Amanda really relies on ticket trading in the Reddits, so I would really recommend checking
Yeah.
out whatever subreddit has the Sundance ticket trade on it. There's definitely going to be options through that. That's probably your best bet, other than actually booking through the website.
Yep. The last one we got from Brady, who had mentioned a show I did have on my radar, and I had no idea that it was getting pushed out because there wasn't too much fanfare from this one, but it's coming out to Netflix. It's called Asura TV series
Yeah, this is
that
the
I think is
second.
only go for it. I think it's out. It's
Yeah,
actually out already.
yeah. This is the actually second Netflix series from one of our favorite filmmakers, Hirokazu Koreeda, who of course has made films like what is it, Like Father Like Son, Shoplifters. There's a more recent one that I'm forgetting right now.
Well,
But
I'm surprised that this has
Monster.
gone without fanfare because this has also happened for wasn't the one you liked from
Wait, this
HBO
is.
Max.
Am I mixing up? Never mind. Wait, what?
Awesome. You go. The show that came out on Max that you liked that had what's his name playing
Chandler
like 5
Park?
different roles. Yeah, his show. Boom.
The
Yeah, like
Sympathizer
a
show.
week,
Yes.
and that's it. Yeah. How is this the biggest show and they're pushing who knows what this week? Right? I had just seen the
Yeah.
poster, but I was like, all right, that sounds interesting. But for the most part, I didn't know he was the director. I just saw the creator. And I
Right.
was like, all right, well, if he's the one doing all the episodes, that needs to be front and center. It wasn't until today that I started seeing it. So shout out Brady, letting people know about that one as well. I don't have a pilot preview for that one, but I'll be getting into that. Let's get into, however, the first movie of the week and one that I would consider the better one of this weekend. Zach, you caught this one back at Toronto, if I'm not mistaken, and you were
I
saying
did.
that if you're a fan of The Greatest Showman, then Better Man is a movie that you need to have on your radar, especially in a year full of musicals. If you were looking to see what the top one was, in my opinion, name them. Mean Girls. Yay, nay.
We got, and I'm gonna go nay on the Mean Girls
Ade.
musical. Yeah.
Wicked.
I mean, I'll go yay on it, even if it isn't necessarily my favorite film visually. I enjoyed my time with Wicked.
The End.
Look, I loved the end. That's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but
But it gets
I
a
thought it
thumbs
was
up here.
yeah, it gets a thumbs up. It's a really interesting experiment
Uh-huh.
on the musical genre.
But you did not like the experiment of Joker Folle Adu, the other
No,
musical from
that's
2024.
that's what I'd probably give a big thumbs up, maybe 2 thumbs down if I can.
And the last comparison is Better Man getting shut out of most places, but not Emilia Perez, perhaps the upcoming winner of Best Picture, the new Crash, as I've been calling it. You weren't bored with Emilia,
No,
but there was a lot you didn't like from it.
Yeah,
Does
I mean,
this
look,
monkey take the cake?
look, I'm definitely humming the songs from Better Man a lot more than I'm humming any songs from Emilia Perez. In fact, I was saying when I left the Toronto International Film Festival, I had seen The End, that musical. I had seen Piece by Piece, the
Yeah, that counts too,
the
yeah.
Lego Pharrell film, which has a lot of songs that I love. I had seen a lot of different movies that had a lot of really interesting music in it. This was the only movie that got me to add a few songs to my playlists. I was rocking to Rock DJ. I'm still rocking to Rock DJ, as well as Angels, off of just how electric those sequences are in this movie.
Yeah, for those who don't know, because it seems like many Americans don't know, I didn't know who this man was, Robbie Williams. My sister had heard of him. She played me a music video that was completely normal. He takes off his skin and explained how this is a huge guy over in the UK. I don't know how big this movie is in the UK. I think it's totaling 25-ish worldwide so far in the box office, but the budget's 100 mil. So people are like, it's ruined. Oh no, when did y'all become producers? When did y'all become capital? I don't know what happened there. Look, I'm here for the movie. I saved this movie in the cold Chicago day of last Friday as a movie to make it out of I went out of my own way to see this on a separate day just because they only had one Dolby showing. And it was worth it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, the Dolby on this bad boy, the way it's mixed. There's that clip, the way that the biopic goes of Robbie Williams, where there's a pivotal point of the group getting signed. Everyone's seen this clip all over the place. It does not do it justice to when you see it in the theater.
Yeah.
The opening song when you're covering him as a child has been one of the ones.
Mhm.
There's no reason a movie with a monkey's making you cry. And there's been debates. Is the monkey worth it? Is it not? Is it just a gimmick? You brought up the Lego movie, right? That was one where Pharrell was like, what if I did it with Legos?
Yeah.
There's a whole, the documentary is shot. They just reanimated it. And now you have a guy who I think actually had a good reason for doing it. There are several moments in the movie where he's talking about feeling like a working animal, feeling very primal, feeling like he's always going to burst out. And I thought that there were several moments where it worked and several scenes where I was like, how am I falling for a CGI being talking to his buddy, a girl he just met, or crying with their grandma? It is very cliched. It hits all the beats a biopic does, but in the best way possible. Better
Yeah.
man.
And I think,
Great.
I talked about this before, but I think using this idea of like a chimpanzee in the role of Robbie Williams, it also takes you out of your normal like movie watching brain. Like comparing this to Marissa Abella as Amy Winehouse in Amy earlier
A lot of similar
in
points, yeah.
2024, right? Like you are watching that movie constantly being like, no, that's not what Amy Winehouse quite looks like.
Great point.
No, that's not really what she sounds like. She's not capturing the energy. She doesn't look quite as emaciated or whatever. And all of those questions just completely go out of your head because that's not the point. They're not trying to make you believe this is exactly Robbie Williams.
Yeah.
And then instead you're actually focusing on the kind of person Robbie Williams was, how he was kind of an asshole and kind of a sad person, but you end up empathizing with him maybe a little bit more because of it.
Yeah, it was very smart because there are certain sequences that really play on this idea that I don't think would have worked with just him. I like how Robbie himself, because he does narrate it also. You're following a biopic, it is a narrative, but he's almost like doing a documentary over it where he's giving us commentary. He's like one of those variety videos where they're like, or Vanity Fair videos where they're like chopping up the scenes. In particular, he mentioned that he felt audiences show more sympathy for an animal on screen than they would with a human. And like you described, he is a very big asshole in this movie. But all the drugs and hurt and pain that he causes, you feel more sympathy because it's a damn chimpanzee. And there's a particular moment where he's performing where he keeps getting haunted by versions of him as the monkey, which I thought it's all CGI, so you can't really do makeup, but you can see the variations of the monkey look like variations of his life when he goes blonde, when he had this style. And there's a particular scene at a climax of a concert where he like interacts with those versions, and without doing the CGI bit, you don't get to have a moment like that. And I think that's the best part of a movie. I like the Lego movie when he was able to describe, I don't know how to tell you guys how I see music. What if it was like colored Legos and how they get pieced together, piece by piece? Great song from that film. And Better Man, I think he was really struggling with what he's saying in the title, and which is also a really good song from the movie. He is struggling almost to a degree to not be this beast and to act human. I love Better Man. Check this movie out. Catch it in a freaking Dolby theater if you can. I know people are saying it's such a boring conversation. Oh, we don't know him. Yeah, we don't. You don't know half the people that you go see. Half the conversations are just to have the conversations. Right? Let's talk about the movie. And the movie's
Let's be real for a second. A lot of y'all don't know who Bob Dylan is either.
And you're still going to go see that, right?
Yeah.
I think the difference is that they're almost crying out about a thing that they're missing. I know the monkey. That's okay. But if it was Timothée Chalamet from Doom playing it, is that enough for you? You're almost outing yourself of what the pieces are that you need in a movie. And you don't really know what you're complaining about because the complaints don't add up, because by next week, you're going to see another movie that you're interested in called Companion. And then he'd star in no IP or anything that you know. So take a risk with it. I think it's worth it. I like the fact that they had the balls to go all out with it. You were telling me some of these songs are original but don't qualify. Do you know why? And also WTF?
Yeah, so there was a song that was put on the Oscars short list. The song is called no. Let me see. I'm trying to pull it up as Forbidden Road. That was the one that made it to the short list. But
do you know that one off the top?
I don't, to be honest. You also have seen it a little more recently than me, so maybe you can hum along to it. But the rules are the rules with the Academy, and when they find out something is pre-written, they tend to disqualify it. I don't know why some stuff from Wicked gets in and this doesn't, but I'm sure there's somebody who like has dove into the nitty gritty who can identify why?
Road is the acoustic one where he's looking back at his life. Man, this song, if you play it right now, this sounds like Country Road. How is this eligible? The one where they walk out, because I think he brought back the bandmates to the one. I think it's fire that he brought back the group to re-record. That's so cool.
Yeah.
2, there's a lot of interpolation, and that's where I figured, like, damn, this song is so cool, but is it the interpolations that they do that's gonna make it disqualified? But there's so many scenes in that song where they come out, when they go full quiet in the Dolby, impeccable. I saw you start a comment from Max as well. It's a little bit of a spoiler, but I love the ending of a thing you've seen so many times in these biopics of, oh, the father who wasn't there, but the way they're able to connect of like, I know what my father was seeking, and like I kind of see it because I got to reach it in different levels. Seeing Better Man and Last Showgirl, another movie that's going through someone following their career and their child's kind of being stuck with it. It's been fascinating to see these through lines, but this wrapped it up perfectly. And I will agree with you. They did do My Way a lot better than Joker did. By an inch, Zach. By an inch. Incredible movie all around, dude. It's a good one. Yeah. Hopefully when it comes out digitally, I think that's when people will give it the chance, because you can't just tell people to go watch this monkey movie. It's also not their fault. It's the beginning of the year. It's really cold outside.
It's pretty crowded in theaters too right now as well. You said you were catching up on about like 5 movies. All the Oscar movies are coming out. You know, I think maybe they were hoping this would get a little bit of more momentum in that direction, and I guess it just hasn't. But it just doesn't really feel like they planned this for the right time of year for this movie to get enough time. I wouldn't be surprised though if, like The Greatest Showman, this ultimately is a movie that has legs, gets rented on VOD a lot, because the word of mouth is pretty crazy. Most people I'm talking to are pretty blown away by this film. Yeah. I did want to ask you at least briefly a topic that we were sort of talking about off stream as a potential like thing to discuss, but you know, with all these musicals coming out and a lot of musicals that are subverting our expectations for musicals, as well as these different approaches to the music biopic, which is often a pretty staid genre and feels like it's all existing in the shadow of the parody movie Walk Hard now. I think we've got a couple interesting attempts at the modern music biopic that maybe don't do things the way we're traditionally used to seeing them. In A Complete Unknown, which takes just a sliver of Bob Dylan's life rather than the full cradle to grave treatment, hitting all the big highlights. And then this one with Better Man, which doesn't give you, you know, like a perfect recreation of everything, but gives you this fantastical journey with, you know, like battles with monkey demons and stuff like that. What do you feel like is the fresher way to approach the movie biopic? Like, do you want to see more films emulate like A Complete Unknown style, which is maybe similar to like the Bob Marley movie we got last year as well, One Love? Or do you like going all out with it, blowing it up, and doing something like Better Man that is a little more from left field?
I would say it varies, but I have to take what people have been good at, right? What have we gotten from Hollywood that has performed the best? So even if I want the cradle to the grave biopic like you're describing, if I see no one can make it, then I don't want it anymore, right? I think these swings that they've been making have been better, because the more fantastical you get, you're able to reset all the cliches in a different way. He can go on a much bigger binge in this movie. He can go on a bender because it's a monkey. You won't lose the people, because I started thinking, you know, okay, what are the movies that are the bad examples? Bohemian Rhapsody. What caused us to not get a full story there? The people who were involved, the estate, all those different things. Seeing Robbie have no problem seeing him in that Drake suit for the abs. You know me. I want to see someone who's willing to put it all out there. To me, I was a little conflicted in the sense that for Complete Unknown, Bob Dylan read the script and he like approved everything. So it makes the scenes where he looks really cool a little corny that he read it and gave it the thumbs up, man. I'm a little flipped on both, but it's just more so what big creative swings can you take with it? Because I do think you had mentioned Abella.
Marissa Abella and Amy,
Marissa Abella. I don't think she's bad, but the movie didn't do what it was supposed to.
Yeah.
So, like, I can't even say, give me the committed performance. Did that need a fantastical swing? Maybe. I like you're describing why the monkey worked so well. We don't even know that guy, but would it have worked better when you're dealing with someone who everyone knows where her tattoo goes, what she looked like, how skinny she got? Those are things you need to battle up against, and I think movies like Better Man or A Complete Unknown know how to do that narratively or with CGI or another trick. I'm trying to think of some other good biopics. I don't want to stick with, because even with A Complete Unknown, I do think I'm Not There. Right?
Right. Yeah. The Todd Haynes one.
That's
from,
more fascinating. The
right.
idea of him being 5 different ones, even when that takes even cornier swings.
Yeah.
Than what A
But
Complete Unknown,
again,
but it's a swing.
I think what you're talking about though is like it can be really cool to get that kind of outside the box approach to a biopic, but the artist has to be worthy of that kind of treatment, right? Like Better Man works because you can show the outlandishness of Robbie Williams as a character through this kind of outlandish creature creation. I'm Not There, where you get all these different actors to play Bob Dylan, works because he is a kind of person who has transformed himself
Yeah. What is his
through his different
backstory?
music.
Yeah.
He's enigmatic. He's a little unknowable. So making him obscuring how he is works for the person Bob Dylan is. But yeah, like I don't know if Katy Perry deserves an abstract biopic, right?
I would agree. We need to stop making movies on boring people. That's for sure. Some people just don't have it. And that's the other part of it, is that the worst thing that can happen here is that these are creatives not doing something different for the sake of it. This was in them. I believe when Pharrell said, but what if it was Legos? That's a stupid idea that can only come from someone as a genius as Pharrell. Same thing for Better Man. If you get a Katy Perry movie and she wants to do something different because she saw the success of this one, that's where you now get into the realm of like, it's the meme that ended up on Ellen. It's over. It's done. Now you're getting people trying to do the bit. Every movie after Get Out tried to be this social horror in the vein of Get Out, not in the vein of their own stuff. And you could tell the imitators right off the bat. You will be getting stars trying to imitate Better Man. Please watch Better Man now before our American stars get the wrong idea and start doing that. So that's why I don't even want to say, hey, be fantastical with it, because eventually someone will play it out.
Yeah.
That's why the Cradle to the Grave one has been played out. So we're still fresh at this one, Zach.
We need to do a bunch of these so that the Cradle to the Grave version could feel fresh again.
Exactly. We're just cycles. That's all it is. That's all it's ever been. And speaking of that, I'll jump to this next one over here, which I think is very similar in the realm of it being a mother-daughter story, or I should say one of
a parent
people who come
story.
Yeah, parents who are in an industry, and then you kind of see how that's affected the child. I caught this one very late because it's technically only being released now, but there is another Coppola out there making movies lest you forget, and it is Gia Coppola. I've been seeing a lot of mentions being brought up for The Bling Ring. I would say probably one of her biggest movies. She did Bling Ring, no?
No, that was Sophia.
She did Palo Alto.
Yeah.
Damn, bro, I've been giving her credit for her sister's movies. Never mind. We're sticking on the Sophia clan over here.
Yeah.
I'm going to start good, though. I like the movie. But if I may, I think On the Rocks does this better. I think her sister did the better movie in terms of it. I'll get into those themes, but first and foremost, this is too short. This is a story where Pamela Anderson is up for awards because she is playing an incredible performance of this showgirl who has been at part of this Las Vegas residency, if you want to call it that, doing this specific show with all these feathers. Not too nude, not too overtly sexual.
Like a burlesque, sort of.
She stops right before. And to her, she thinks it's like a dying show. And for the most part, she stopped her entire life, including that of her daughters, to be able to dedicate it all to this. So when the show's about to end, what is she going to do? Man, I almost wanted to see more of this movie. I've got complaints and criticisms that also are compliments. For starters, why my girl put Vaseline on the lens of the camera and said action and started rolling? I found out that they created these lenses where they're like all messed up on the outside, so it looks super blurry. It's all bokeh, just so there could be focus in the center. It may be one of the ugliest things you've seen, and I was also enamored at the same time.
Yeah.
There's a beauty to this movie.
There really is. There is. And I think the thing you're reacting to is sort of the sort of modus operandi of both Gia and Sophia sometimes, in that they're not super plot centric in their films. It's not giving you a lot of story, a lot of twists and turns in terms of character, or even huge character development. It is
Yeah.
very slice of life. Like, it really is just kind of giving you a picture for the kind of life that somebody in the situation that Pam Anderson's character would live, and also like the situational relationships around her, whether that is like her boss and sort of kind of romantic partner,
Mhm.
the younger coworkers she has who've sort of become like pseudo daughters to her, the actual daughter she has who is, you know, keeps her at a distance because of the type of upbringing she's had. You know, and it's all interesting. Like, I found it all extremely textured and lived in, particularly the way that she shoots Las Vegas is really interesting. Just like, you don't get as much of the glamour, even though you get the grandness of it, right? Like, you see it very much from the level of somebody who is working a job there. um but it just doesn't go that deep, and I think that's where my where I hit my head on the ceiling a bit with this movie, where I think it is very good, and I think there's not really much I have against what they're showing me. I just kind of
Yeah, it's one of those. Yeah.
want a little bit more from it, because as is, it's basically The Wrestler, but for a showgirl, right? This is a movie about somebody who has sold their body until their body has sort of not until their body has worn down for the purposes of other people's entertainment, and
Yeah.
the way that there isn't kind of like um there isn't like a second life to that. There isn't a long career span for people in those professions.
Yeah. And I thought that would have been way more fascinating to see. She talks a lot about what she likes about the show, but I
Yeah.
don't think she ever fully delivers it. And I wanted to
Mhm.
see more of that because that's also the question her daughter's asking. Was this worth leaving me, or like
Mhm.
not, focusing on this more than myself? And I think that was a big part of it because a massive part of the movie is like you were saying with Vegas. It's a fresh look on old traditions.
Right.
And I think that's something with Coppola last year making his movie really be about like, I'm so tortured as a talented person, but have I left a good future? I think I
Megalopolis,
got
yeah.
I think I got a kid who maybe still got the talents I do to see things the way I do. I'd be fascinating. I'd be fascinated to see a movie more about that from Sophia and Gia, because here you do get this idea of, as they put it, it is about a person reinventing themselves once they're they're discarded, they're no longer needed. But it
Mhm.
really is about this forgiveness thing between a parent and their child. And again, both of these girls have made these movies the same way their father has made one for them. What happens when you were carried through the industry because you were the child of somebody?
Mhm.
And I wanted to see more of that because that's what I think On the Rocks really covers that in getting what's her name? Quincy Jones' daughter.
Rashida
Rashida
Jones, yeah.
Jones. Being able to play off, having a father figure who's really famous and you're kind of almost under their shadow. I think the biggest difference here is that the girl's a photographer while she's a showgirl. And to me, what you're relating to in the best possible way is you having the same thing that your dad has as a passion, which is he films and you filmed. And I think maybe that's where we could have gotten deeper with it, in relating that, because you really leave it open ended on the daughter. And I wanted to see more of how they were going to get into that. There's other revelations with the daughter as well, and people who are around there. But it was interesting to see the behind the scenes. You heard Pamela complained about her agent wasn't
I don't
getting her
think I
good
heard this.
roles. She was cutting off things. It's like, no, all the good juicy roles weren't there, and they only wanted me to do, the salacious stuff. She's like, I could be,
Mhm.
I'm good in a bikini, but I'm good outside of it too. Her son brought the script to her, and he's
Huh.
producer on the movie. So you then take all those themes of what it's like to have your child dragged through the industry because you were in it.
Mhm.
You're reckoning with your ending or your future, but you also got to reckon with theirs. And there's beauty in that. I wanted to see more of it. It's shot in a very interesting way. I agree with our buddy Chase who had said, yo, focus on side character. I know
Jamie
people
Lee
were surprised
Curtis. Yes,
with the
so I was gonna
surprise
bring that
nom.
up. She won Best Supporting Actress for Everything Everywhere All at Once with a nothing part. She should have won it for this movie, which she's really good in.
and she has less to do, if we're being
Yeah.
honest. It's just the things she does on screen just take it away. There was a big moment when Boyhood came out where a big part of it was her award being offered up as like a tribute to her showing her face age on screen. That was a big part of her speech.
Patricia Arquette, yeah.
There is a massive part here as well about her just putting it all out there. And she's talked about that. She's like, thank God for the bronzer and stuff.
Mm.
But she puts herself out there. And there is an ad-libbed scene. It's a dance that happens. I found out it was improv after the fact. And I think it's one of the best scenes, including her. And she don't even say a word. I'm not even into interpretive dances or whatever you want to call it. But it is really one person, just like our main character, who is realizing I'm in my dead end. Only the young people stay for extra hours.
Yeah.
They would have focused a little bit more on her. I could see it. Some people were offended by it with the nomination for her. After seeing the movie, I wish she had more. You're lucky she doesn't have more screen time because she would have been taking this from a lot of y'all. But it's good. I liked it.
Speaking of the supporting cast, there's a couple more people I want to shout out at least briefly. We talked about her a little bit in our Guys video. I thought Kiernan Shipka was actually quite good in this film as sort of the pseudo daughter and person who's almost like an apprentice to Pamela Anderson in this movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't say surrogate's the right word, but it's like what if Pamela would have started at their age?
Mm-hmm.
Because Pamela's like her character is very big on the idea of like, no, there's a classiness, there's a line you don't cross. And these girls are in there already auditioning for the roles that as you follow her in the movie, she's willing to break down, almost step over what she thought was appropriate. These girls are already starting at that point. I thought that was also very interesting in terms of connecting it to today's world. I feel like a lot of actresses have to put a lot more of themselves out there in order to be able to get a part. And this was kind of showcasing that. They did really good. Brenda Song was also very good in the movie, dude. I thought the audition scene with her kind of showcased where they were at their times. But I don't know. There's a lot in this movie. I want to rewatch it. It's
Dave
very
Bautista,
short.
Very good role.
Dave Bautista, very good. His wig, fantastic, and very subtle. My man's really been on a run. I like the turn he's been taking. Another person who told his agent, "Hey, enough with the machismo roles." Very soft spoken in this. But yeah, very strong cast.
Yeah, that's the thing is everybody is good in this movie. It really like I think everything works. It's just maybe like a little slight.
Yeah, you might need to catch it at home because you might not feel you're getting your best bang for your buck in the theater. But her performance is really good. Even if you feel like they didn't answer some things like I do, I feel they leave the parents thing a little open-ended, which I guess may be the point. But her performance is so good. She's someone who's doing it for the love of the game. I always love seeing that. She's not doing this because she wants to be famous or overdo it or whatever else. There's this one line where she says, "Put me in the back. I don't care. I just want to be a part of the show." Shout out to the people who do it for the game. Hey, I'm down for her getting the nomination. I think she's worthy of it. Even if I don't think it's the strongest one because it's not the strongest movie, but she surprised me with this. Please give her more roles. She could do a lot. And the whole makeup, no makeup thing, I think the way she addresses it in public is fantastic. The way she does it in the movie is even better, bro. Is that what when she goes on the date? I was like, whoa, left that man speechless. Last Showgirl. Out in theaters, I would recommend it if you're looking to wrap up stuff for the end of the year, especially for Oscar season. But keep an eye on it for when it comes at home. That may be a better place for most to catch it.
Yeah, I feel like this is a movie that people will resonate with once it pops up on Netflix or something like that.
The last pick that I'll give over here, another shout out for, is a movie I also caught very late, but I got enough. This is practically an extra pick for the week that I want at the top. Fire Inside. It was one of the last movies to come out last year on Christmas. It's coming out to Prime already, or I want to say digitally by the end of this month. Please seek it out. I made sure that I caught the last showing in theaters for a good damn reason. This is your biopic, your sports biopic of someone who starts in Flint, Michigan, out of their own accord, finds the coach themselves, makes that coach them, and then takes it all the way to the Olympics. And the movie's not scared to say what happens after that.
Yeah.
Man, great performances, great scenes. You think a speech is going to get cliche and you go like, nah, they've got some juice with this. The best comparison I could say was when we were supposed to get a regular rom-com in We Live in Time. but they messed around and accidentally got like high caliber actors. The actors in this movie have no business taking regular scenes that you've already seen in a sports biopic, just pitching it to you in such a raw, real way. Who's the lead over here? Because I don't think I've seen her in other movies.
Yeah, so like we
Destiny.
know to expect that great acting from Brian Tyree Henry, but this is, I think, Brian Destiny's first role like this, at least, if not first part. Never seen.
You see a part,
before,
right? You see a part of it in the trailer where she's talking about money is recognition. I thought I got the highlights from that scene. You haven't seen anything yet. Usually, you get someone who could do the sports side of it, the physicality, maybe a little bit of the demeanor. No, she's acting with her eyes. She's given great monologues in this movie. I was not expecting that. Like you said, Brian Tyree Henry, you already know that man can make nothing out of anything. Yeah. There's a fight that they have in his house. I was like, ooh, this is a good back and forth because I agree with her, but I don't know if I would yell at you. I like this a lot. And with it being a true story, you're able to, either recall some of the moments. I think a good comparison is Unstoppable, another movie that I think maybe went a little too heavy-handed on the at-home stuff. And I wanted to see more technical stuff on the mat, especially dealing with wrestling. I thought they did a good job of having her tell you, we're not looking for knockouts. We're looking for points. Bam, bam, bam. The more that you get in, the better. What is it that she has to do to get sponsorships? They tell her to be herself, but she can't be herself. I thought all that behind the scenes was perfectly written and perfectly captured. And I know that we had mentioned when we were doing previews that Rachel Morrison was a cinematographer turned director.
Yeah, this is her first feature in the director's chair.
She has done some incredible stuff, from Fruitvale Station. I think Dope is a very good looking movie. Seeing her, Mudbound, another good one.
Yeah.
Seeing her capture some of the shots in this movie, it felt like we were seeing a documentary of Flint at certain points. There are certain shots that I was just blown away by, capturing the most mundane things, but in an eye that only she has. I really like seeing her jump over here to it, especially because usually she may have the eye, but you're not going to get the performances out of them. Congrats.
Yeah.
You did it. I cannot recommend this one enough. The Fire Inside. It is that sports biopic that you want to see.
And that's the thing, right? Like in a certain respect, it is that cliched sports underdog story that you're expecting. But I think what makes the movie special is that it transcends it and becomes even more than that. Like, it gives you the sports underdog story you want, and then there's a whole extra 30 to 45 minutes of really great movie in there.
And cliches cut things out, when a relative comes back out of jail, right? You think, oh, they're going to play him one way, and they surprise you a bit.
Yeah, yeah.
The coach that's supposed to be the good guy takes some blame. Totally. Dude, I was like, you can do this?
When cliches exist, you can either streamline your story if you're smart, or you can subvert them, and this movie does a lot of both. That's the benefit of having a Barry Jenkins script.
Hell yeah. I was very impressed by it. Please seek this out. Like I said, it should be coming out digitally, but if you have it in a theater near you, oh, those punches, baby. You can feel them. 2 hours, covers every part of the story you want, with a nice little post as well. I won't happen after the fact, but definitely keep this one on your radar. A very good movie. As we wrap up, our last one from the new 2C, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. They've come back, Zach, and I've told you, this is just the beginning. Oh, probably 12 more Den of Thieves.
Yeah, many more dens with thieves.
A lot of dens, yeah. Did you like the first one?
I was mixed on it. Like, I think that movies in this style are usually pretty entertaining. It wasn't like a bad version of a Heat ripoff, but it was a Heat ripoff. And, I think I went like 3 stars on it.
A Heat ripoff that's trying to be Fast and Furious.
Right. Like, it's going for the plot of Heat, but the feel of a Fast and Furious movie.
Exactly. There were points where they drag it out because this is 144 minutes. It does not need to be 144 minutes, but they're trying to add extra genres here. Now that the first heist went wrong, if you want to say that, the evil cop did not get to capture the evil thief. They said, what if they joined forces? And that's kind of the pitch of this movie. They're in a different place. I think they're in Paris, if I'm not mistaken, because they're trying to get diamonds. But then they do this funny thing where they're trying to be the bad guys doing a heist, but there's bad guys after them, but those bad guys have badder guys. So there's this whole bad guy inception thing that's going on as they're working with this new group. That's where the Pantera comes in. There's these Panther organization that's made up of criminals. And for the most part, I don't know if any of the new people stuck out to you. I think the people from the first movie were better, but
Yeah.
kind of got rid of them.
Yeah, I mean, at least they didn't do the thing that sometimes sequels do where they just sort of pretend that some of the people who died
50
didn't
Cent
die.
was not shot 50 times. He's just gonna bring him back. Yeah. I think they could have been stronger on that aspect. There's one part I did like, even if it got real corny. They turned this into a bro comedy film for large portions of it. Like they're just chilling at parties. They'll do a lot of corny moments, and then it'll pop into an element of the movie where the two guys who hate each other are kind of bonding with each other. I thought that worked a little bit more for me.
Yeah, I mean,
but it's still dragged out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's probably more of a fun hang in times than the last movie because they're not taking themselves as seriously. Like, there's definitely a lot of Miami Vice, let's get wet influence in this film, and I love the whole party sequence. But like, I don't know, man, it's a little silly. Like, this is a movie where at one point Gerard Butler jokes that he and O'Shea Jackson Jr.'s characters met on a gay cruise, and like it's certainly not the most original joke, but it does feel very true to the types of characters they're portraying.
Yeah, no one wrote that. He said that.
Exactly, right? Like it is true to this mentality, this vibe. And like there are going to be people who really vibe with it. I know there is like a hive of big Den of Thieves fans out there. I find them okay. I'm certainly not going to be super excited for the inevitable Den of Thieves 3 that you were telling me is coming.
But a 3 from you is pretty good. That's not bad. You still had an enjoyable time with it.
Yeah, I think maybe I'd go more 2.5 on this, but that's all right. Like that's an okay movie to me.
That's still an okay, yeah. I prefer the first one. I think the first one's a little bit tighter. It's funnier. It has less moments where the lead actors are putting on masks so that they can switch with their body doubles.
Yeah.
But other than that, the heist is also better in the first one, but this one keeps things lively, and we'll see. I mean, they very much end this movie setting it up for a next one.
Yeah.
I mean, they take a scene from Fast and Furious, bro. Like the Fast and Furious, to be specific. Hey, we have more of these coming out. It's fulfilling what people needed to. I don't know how it's doing in the box office so far, but I think they're just going to need to build a stronger team. There's so much you can do with these guys. Yeah.
There's so many dudes who I think would fit in this universe that maybe just are hopefully can bring a little more charisma. I mean, yeah, I would not be as opposed to them just turning this into like Expendables for the heist genre. Like,
the
heists
are never that bad. Yeah,
that's the thing, and that's ultimately I think what you want from these movies is for the heists to kind of work. And there were a couple things that I thought were pretty novel. The whole like hook getting over to the other building thing was
I didn't believe it was them as the actors doing it, but I thought that was ingenious. Yeah.
The plastic shield camouflage thing. You need
Mission
a lot of
Impossible
stuff like
style,
that. It had a few cool ideas in there.
And again, surprised with the humor. The first one definitely had it, but here it's definitely leaning on the not cutting the humor on a tense scene.
Yeah.
It's like the whole scene is them just chilling, telling jokes and stuff. But hey, it's been the same director for both. I believe they're just going to continue having him.
Yeah.
And
the
as
only
long
movies
as
he's directed.
Right? Hey, I don't want him to have a Rock Vin Diesel thing. But as of now, Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. are the ones steering the ship, and I think they need each other. There's no way they do this without one or the other. So we'll see how they keep streamlining this. Then if these 10, we'll be there for it soon.
Whether we want to or not.
If you're into it, it's worth it in Dolby. Overall, for the story and what it's done, a rental for me.
I can back that up.
But that is all of the new movies for this week. Before we get into our TV pilot previews, we got to shout out before the hour. The best, the most pivotal thing. The reason we don't do heists anymore is because of the Intercutie patrons.
Yes, we need to thank the special people who always support the show. They are the Intercuties, the wonderful people who do so much to keep us going here on the podcast. Their names are on the screen right now, but from the Academy tier, they are Tushar, Cademan, Connor, May, Ricky, Joe, Matt, Jeremy, Michael, I guess, Mark from Tampa, who just boosted his membership, as well as Robert, the newest member of the Intercuties. Shout out to Robert. Thank you for joining up. We've also got the producer level patrons, who are Toon, Brandon G, Josh, Bleepy, and Nick. A huge thanks to all of them for their continued support, and a reminder that you too can become a member, an intercutie, a patron by clicking the join button below this video and signing up for as little as $3 a month. And if you don't want to do it through YouTube, you can do it through patreon.com/intercutpod, where you can sign up for patron benefits like early access to episodes of the podcast, like the one that we're about to film, talking about the favorite films we've ever seen at Sundance. You get access to our outlines before we actually record the episode. So when we have a most anticipated movies of the upcoming year, you'll get those lists before we publish those videos too. And you can
we have a Yule log. But instead of a Yule log, it's just us waiting for the movies in line at Sunday.
You also get access to our monthly intercutie video hangouts, where we
just did.
We just did our latest one. We sat around talking the latest movies, wished everybody a happy new year. It's a fun time to catch up and talk about what movies you've been seeing with us. So for $3 a month here on YouTube or over on patreon.com/intercutpod, you can join the intercuties and help us keep this podcast going.
Anyway, it'd be just like Nick in the live stream. Shout out Nick, officially on that producers board.
Yeah, shout out Nick, one of the big people, one of the people who helps get this done.
That's why I had Brady up there. He was mentioning another one, backing up over here from Fire Inside. Same cinematographer who did Taylor Swift's short film from a year ago, the one I believe she was nominated for, and also did look pretty good. Let me pull up give him the shout out on Brady's behalf. Fire Inside cinematographer Rena Yang. Pull it up right here. Also did Nanny, which is another pretty good one. And damn, bro, has worked with what's his name?
Oh, Vince. Very cool. So Rena Yang, I guess, comes from the music video world a bit. That's cool.
That's fire. Hey, next cinematographer turned director as well. Good call out right there. So shout out to all the intercuties, all those over on Patreon, here on YouTube, and all those who just listen in. We appreciate y'all. Let us know your thoughts on the latest movies from this week as we move on to some quick little pilot previews from movies that came out, or I should say TV shows that came out this past week. I'll do a quick one on the Jerry Springer one that just premiered on Netflix, 2 parts. Y'all know who Jerry is. Y'all know what that show was. Y'all know what that show did. It is way more disgusting. Did you see any of this?
No, I didn't. Do the youth still know about Jerry Springer? We're old.
Have to. Yeah, but they do. Everyone knows what a Jerry Springer thing is.
He's influential.
He's influential. I think people still know what Jerry Springer's is, the way that the To Catch a Predator has been off TV, but they've kept that stuff alive, I want to say.
Yeah, the Whatever podcast doesn't exist without Jerry Springer.
They get into how malicious they were in getting people. And I think that's the big part of it. It's not just showing you how they got their success. It's how they scoped out people with messed up stories, convinced them that their story was important to tell. Sleeping with your cousin, someone being a clan member over there, transvestite over here, anything that they could make a story out of, and then wined and dined them. This was a Chicago show, meaning that they made them come over here, picked them up in a limo. They break down without any embarrassment the way they tricked these people into embarrassing themselves on camera. That before they would go up, each producer had them in a green room and were telling them what to say and hyping them up to a degree, scripting what the fight was going to be outside. It is a malicious doc. They try to treat Jerry like a saint because my man passed away a couple years ago. Now at this point in time, everyone goes, it wasn't Jerry's fault. It wasn't Jerry's fault. It was us. Not since Demi Lovato have I seen a documentary going, it wasn't my friend's fault. It was all me. Then all of these people doing it for Jerry as he has passed, but they pretty much take all the blame and they say Jerry never did anything. He just, became the host of the show where you guys screwed people over. It shot beautifully, a lot of insights, and I cannot believe that they were that brutally honest. They get into the beef they had with Oprah, who also filmed here in Chicago. And hey, if you don't know Jerry Springer, or if you do know Jerry Springer, 2-part documentary getting into how malicious this was and how they got away with it.
Yeah.
Jerry Springer fights camera action.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, but sometimes documentaries about famous people are better served when like the family isn't involved, or maybe the central subject is no longer around, so
Yeah.
people aren't worried about offending. It does seem like people are going out of their way to try and, not necessarily like implicate him in this documentary. But do you think
Oh
maybe it
yeah.
was served because better served because there's a little distance now from that show?
No, I think they were just, well, you still scapegoat. I don't care.
Yeah.
It was your show, bro. I think it was just a way. Completely random, but they are celebrating him in theaters. The Satoshi Kon doc did the same thing, where they're like, I mean, there was that one time he was an asshole. No, he was a dick. And I think you should just be honest about what it is. Jerry Springer did put the show together, but it's a way for the legacy to live on and to kind of not tarnish his name. He was the good guy in the show. He was the one trying to keep the peace because he was paying everybody else to get everyone riled up. It's messed up. And you look back at it, it was insane. Just the highlights reel of some of the most insane stuff on Jerry Springer, as told by the producers. Like, they're the ones ranking what was the craziest person I got on the show. Wild stuff. Jerry Springer out on Netflix. Let us know your thoughts on that. As we move on to two doctor shows. One is on Fox, so I believe you can see it on Hulu, where I caught the first episode. Very simple premise. A doctor who is like the one who's running everything, played by Molly Parker, who I think is a very great actor. She has done incredible independent
Yeah.
films.
Shout out to her performance in shoot, what is that Vanessa Kirby movie that she was in? Like certain
Pieces of a Woman.
Pieces of a Woman. She is incredible in like a kind of smaller part in that movie.
Mm-hmm. Because she's the one who helps give birth, and then
Yeah,
that's
she's
what
the
causes all.
nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was also great in another one called Madeline's Madeline. Alina was like, "Is she the one in
Yes.
Madeline's Madeline?" I'm like, "It is." And when I pull it up and I show you, you are a nerd for knowing. There's nothing nerdier than watching Madeline's Madeline, knowing about it, which is over being in Madeline's Madeline. Anyway, she's got a big show up on Fox where the doctor gets into an accident, doesn't know anything from the last 10 years. A child has died and she is divorced, and now it's trying to recoup everything as time has advanced 10 years. Pretty solid one that's out there. Give this one a watch if you're interested. And yet there was still a better doctor one out there. The first two episodes came out of one that we were highly anticipating from last week. Zach, break down The Pit.
The Pit is a new hospital drama on Max, and it is in more ways than one trying to rewind the clock back to the like late 90s, early 2000s, when network dramas were the buzziest things on TV. Because not only are they bringing in what's your boy's name, who's the star of the show, former star of ER, not
ER's
George
before my
Clooney.
time.
Yeah, I mean, it was before my time as well. Noah Wiley is the lead actor on the show, who many people, not us, remember from ER. But you also get a bit of like
He's
the
good.
24 ticking clock, minute by minute thing going on here. In
Yeah.
that the premise is that this is a 15 episode season of a hospital drama, and each hour is a different hour of this 15-hour shift that Noah Wiley's doctor is on. So the stories are all sort of playing out slowly, right? The first episode is introducing you to a lot of different doctors up and down the chain of
The
command, a
setting.
lot of
Yeah.
different patients. Yeah, the general setting of it. It's not like this patient of the week thing that you'll get on like House, where somebody checks in at the beginning of the episode and by the end of the episode it's all wrapped up. It's
The
got
season is the shift. Yeah.
yeah, it's got these ongoing elements. It's bouncing around. It's sort of showing you the chaos of the emergency room, where anything can suddenly happen and completely change the urgency of the situation. And there is just something really really captivating about a hospital drama, right? Like it is high drama at all points. There's constantly people on the brink of life or death. So like it's a situation that kind of has endless supply of interesting situations you can bring up.
Yeah.
I think what is ultimately working for me so far about the show is like I do feel like it gets a really good sense of the hospital dynamics, whether it's the dynamics between the residents and the more veteran doctors, the hospital administration that's trying to increase their reputation while slashing their budgets, the strain that it's putting on these doctors. It just feels really lived in a way that I think you're looking for in a workplace drama like this one.
It also knows that people have seen a dozen of these shows, and it's
Yeah.
like aware, so it's cutting a lot of that stuff and not retreading old ground. And the episodic nature of it going from hour to hour, because it gives you the time. This is where he came in, because it's supposed to be his day off, if I'm not mistaken. That's why he's so grumpy. He comes in, and there are characters that he interacts with who go home that he kind of wants to keep an eye on because they seem disturbed. And it makes you wonder, bro, are we going to see people come in later because he let that kid go? And that's where it's got me on edge. I was like, that's what I like to see, that we will see repercussions from 8 a.m, come back at 3 p.m. or something like that. What characters know each other that we don't know? And even in the workplace of it, there's Nepo nurses. There's people he hasn't been getting along with. It's riveting. I like it.
Yeah, they do a really good job of planting things, right? There are so many seeds that have been planted that are just beginning to get watered. And because of the nature of the show and the promise of television in general, they're just going to start sprouting up the further along we get in this season. So like that one that you're just mentioning or other factors, they're all going to come to a head in a way that sounds promising. And at least through 2 episodes, I was pretty locked in on this one. I wouldn't say that this is like the most outstanding drama I've seen. Like, it's not like the characters are super compelling, but they're compelling enough that I'm into it. I'm with it. I want to know what happens next. So I'll continue to watch this one for sure.
Be tuned in. The Pitt, out on HBO, or out on Max, I should say. Not even an HBO.
Yeah, not even an HBO.
Surprisingly, yeah. So I got faced with it right there. Other than that, that is our movies and TV for the week. We got a couple of news to discuss over here, starting off with the SAG nominations. I don't know if you're up to date with the dates now, because they moved everything around, obviously, with all the fires and stuff that has been happening. I know you've got people over there. I mean, you were living over there for a bit. I've got people over there as well. Insane stuff over there. Everyone's obviously aware of it. And with that, Hacks, what's her name, came out and said, well, come on, guys, we can't be broadcasting these shows.
Was that almost like Hannah Einbender?
No. It was
Gene Smart?
Gene Smart, the one who's getting the awards. I like how she was like, I have to keep speaking in front of people. I like how her thing wasn't, let's just cancel them. No, she specifically said, let's not live stream them. She said, keep the party going, but can we not let the peasants tune in? I don't know when they're going to have them now, because part of it is broadcasting. Look at how much cooler we are than you guys, as we saw with the Globes and such. But these are smaller ones. The SAG Awards is a lot smaller. They really pat themselves on the back because it's just actors voting on actors. Same for DGA, and especially with some of the other ones like the Critics' Choice and stuff. Break it down wherever you want to take it.
Yeah, so why don't we start a little bit with the SAG Awards, because one thing that's interesting about SAG specifically is that the Academy's largest branch of voters are actors. So a lot of times SAG can be like a pretty good indicator of at least where some tastes in the Academy lie. And that's where we should start out, because the big award that SAG gives out is its outstanding performance by a cast in a motion picture, the Ensemble Award, by other names. And the big absentee here is The Brutalist, one of the big players in award season. The movies that got nominated were A Complete Unknown, Honora, Conclave, Amelia Perez, and Wicked. And you might say, like, what's the big deal about it not getting nominated here? Well, if you are into like the trends from Oscars, I believe, and somebody in the comments can come along and correct me, there's only 2 movies this century that did not get nominated for Best Ensemble ended up winning Best Picture. It's pretty they're pretty correlated, at least. That the actors have to like your movie enough to vote for it to win Best Picture.
Do you mean century as in the last 100 years or since 2000?
Since 2000.
Okay, so 25 years. I'm about to say that's the history of film.
Yeah. However, those 2 movies that did it were in the last like 5 years, I
Do you
believe.
know?
Nomadland and what was the other one that did it? Maybe
Coda,
it was
Parasite,
maybe it was Everything
Oppenheimer,
Everywhere.
definitely.
I could be wrong about that. Somebody in the live stream
Someone
comments can
probably hit it
hopefully
up.
correct me on what that other one is. But yeah, I mean,
But
so if you
but it's
care
possible.
about that kind of thing, this might be a bad sign for the Brutalists' Best Picture chances. Not to be
Would you
nominated, but to win it.
would you give it ensemble to begin with, though? Because that's the other thing I see here. It's a good stat,
Mhm.
but I wonder, like, would I have put it on here?
Yeah, so maybe. I mean, it has that incredible Adrian Brody performance, of course. Guy Pearce, who you liked quite a bit in the movie, I
Did they
think is
get
very.
nominated?
That is the thing. Guy Pearce is not in the
Oh, that's wrong.
Best Supporting Actor
Yeah, so they messed up.
nominees.
They messed up right there.
So that's another indication that maybe the actors branch is a little less high on the Brutalist than other people.
Jeez. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I got two things for here. One is obviously knowing what your pick is, but before that, I learned something.
Mm.
You do not get nominated for Cast in a Motion Picture unless your name is in the title credits.
Oh,
If you're on the
interesting.
poster, turns
Yeah,
out
because
they got rid of the kid from Moonlight. I saw someone posting about that. The one on the cover, because I mean that movie's stacked with so many actors, he
right.
was left behind. The big one here, Conclave,
Oh, who didn't get in?
the Mexican Pope, Zach. And if you know the story,
Oh,
mind blowing. He is
yeah.
not mentioned, and thus that's the one cardinal you keep out. Insane to think, but that was a rule I did not know. You need to have your name in the title credits or like in the poster in order to be able to be nominated for this. And there's been
Interesting,
various cases. Yeah,
because like they don't award every single person in the
exactly.
cast, right? Like the movie
Yeah,
doesn't
it's
win and 100
yeah.
actors go on stage. It's like 5 or 6, right?
They learned from the Grammys where they had to give out a little piece of something to everybody when they
Yeah.
were winning the rap records.
Yeah.
Now here, I thought that was an interesting rule to have. It kind of showcases how they have to compete and how important it is to be an above the line name. And then, I ask you the question, out of these, if you're not counting the Brutalist, I'm going Conclave.
Are we talking about what has the best cast or just what you think is your front runner for picture?
It's double for me.
Man, I mean, look, if we're going for best cast, I'd probably go Conclave as well, although Honora gives it a run for its money.
It's good. That's a good one. It's my second.
If we're going for which of these movies I think ultimately wins, I mean, do I have to say it? Because I don't want to. I think it's going to be Emilia Perez.
That's wicked of you to say that. It sadly might be. Let's keep it going with some of the other ones. We have female actor in a leading role. I mean, we were just discussing one of these. I think it rightfully belongs there. I think Demi and Mikey are locked in, but we were having a discussion before. You were the one who brought up how technically critics are the only ones giving it to Mikey. We have yet to see Mikey win an award, but those promos are talking about, oh, she's won the most awards we've ever seen. I was like, we get this stat every year. And she's missing a lot of the ones that the previous record breakers.
Yeah, sorry to the Film Critics Association of Cleveland, Ohio, but like some of
Don't
these
mess with
awards
them. If
count
we
a
move to
little bit more.
Cincinnati, they're a couple hours away. Be careful. Who you got?
I mean, from this group, it does feel a little bit like there is momentum building around Demi Moore, and she has a really good narrative going for her as well. I wonder if her narrative and Pamela Anderson's narrative are almost a little bit too similar, and they maybe is a little bit of cancellation
Canceling
there.
out. Fascinating. Okay.
Yeah.
I
don't
it's
think
Demi.
Mikey Madison's out of it.
She's not out of it. And the nom, I think we both feel very secure with it.
Yeah.
I do think it's leaning more to Demi.
Yeah.
It seems like they're not honoring Torres, who I think is the only one, outside of the campaigning, whose performance is really big. You have yours as well, coming from Hard Truths.
Yeah. So I also could be
giving
wrong about this. I know this is the case for some guild stuff, but I wonder, because Marianne Jean-Baptiste is a British actress
Not
who's
SAG.
competing in a British film. Same thing for Fernanda Torres, who is a Brazilian actress in a Brazilian film. They might not be in SAG and maybe not eligible for this award, but I don't want to say that for sure, but it's a possibility.
Does Cynthia have dual citizenship? She's SAG and BBC?
Well, Wicked is an American production, at least.
But is it not up? Because that's the other thing too. I hear what you're saying, because the BAFTAs do that, right? If it's not like a British production, and then sometimes you're like, wait, how did this one get in though, and not the other one? I don't know. It
Right.
gets really confusing, but we know
Co-financing
how
stuff.
things. Yeah, we know how things happen in the background. I'm
Um,
locking in Demi right now. Still,
yeah,
after some wins.
yeah. I think Demi's probably where I would go at least as of January 13th.
And a big thing is also, I think the Cynthia Erivo nomination needs to be a lock because her not winning has already caused stir-ups. I cannot imagine not having a nomination, but I personally can name several other people above her, but I think she's good in
Yeah,
the role.
she would be one person I cut from my 5 personally,
Yeah,
but
big
I
fan
think she
base. I
gets
love
in.
how the Ariana Naders have just gone. We know she's not getting the nomination. We are getting mad on her behalf for
Yeah.
Cynthia. So strong fan base there. Male actor in a leading role. Very refreshing to see Coleman Domingo here, who I'm hoping gets it. And I like that this may mean he does secure it because it's his peers. I'm still locking in Adrian Brody, but we were hearing some stuff from the Intercut Patreon hangout. Some good words for Ray Fiennes. Daniel Craig. It's one of the only movies I'm missing. I didn't get to catch this one. It was out of theaters already.
Yeah. I think Craig is probably the most vulnerable of all these actors in terms of their Oscar prospects. But I do think this is our lineup of 5.
Really, you're not going for any Sebastian.
I mean, I think if The Apprentice dropped out, then maybe, but like as is, those are 2 excellent performances in The Apprentice and A Different Man, and I think if anything, they're probably stealing votes from each other that he really desperately needs.
I'm locking it in for Adrian Brody.
I would as well.
And then we have, I believe, the supportings, female actor in a supporting role. Monica Barbero, the more I think about her, you were right. She's very, very solid part of the movie.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis got a lot of surprise hate this morning. I hate to tell y'all, she's worthy of it. She's good in the movie.
Yeah.
Danielle Deadweiler caught up on the piano lesson. Very pivotal role in there. She's been worthy of her nominations. Ariana Grande, for sure. And Zoe, obviously, because you and I both see her as a lead performance.
Yeah.
We know it's going to be her. I think we know that that's a lock. I don't know if you had anything else to add there because we have very similar sentiments for
who would you pick?
Actor supporting.
Who would you pick from those 5? I personally might go Monica Barbaro.
If we're doing true supporting, yes, but you have a support like a leading like length performance here. It's like not even fair.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Zoe. But Monica's very good. Yeah. Monica's very good. And I think she makes the lead better. I think she makes Timothy better in that movie.
That's the thing. They're great with each other.
Male actor in a supporting role. I think we know what it is. I like seeing Jonathan Bailey here. I do like his performance a lot.
I don't know if I'd have him in my 5, but he's
yeah,
okay.
I have him in top 10. That's why I'm surprised that they made him on here. Right. Euro was funny in the Golden Globes. Rewatching it, he really thought. Good for him. And the boy earned it last movie in Compartment. Was it number 6? That was 9? Good. Number 9. He was in a compartment and he was also in his bag in that movie. Here it's Kieran, another movie that as much as I love, I got to call it out. From calling it out for Emilia, I also do think he was lead. Went back on our Sundance breakdowns. We both see that as a 2 for role. It's his to take, which sucks because Jeremy Strong is the better actor in The Apprentice and he's a supporting role. I have not seen a consistent role like his, just in the background. The makeup on him as they age him is crazy.
Yeah, like if we were talking about best true supporting performance in this category, I'd probably go Jeremy Strong. I also think Edward Norton is great in Complete Unknown.
You love Edward.
I think he's an excellent actor and he's excellent in that movie.
Hit him with it.
I mean, I'm not always ready to do my Pete Seeger on the drop of a dime, but I'll try to entertain you tonight, folks. But
thank you, Academy.
But I think that the best performance in this category is Kieran Culkin, so it's going to be hard to deny him, even if it is
shout out
performance.
As we said earlier, to my brutalist pick as well. I very much think you cannot put a list like this together without Memento. What's his name? Because he's so good in it.
Guy
so
Pearce,
menacing.
Yeah.
Guy Pearce is so good.
Yeah.
I got to add him in there. Yeah. But yeah, Culkin for sure. And that is all the movie stuff. We've got the TV stuff out there as well, but I have not gone through the directors.
Yeah.
So hit me with this.
There's some interesting nominations here. First of all, the 5 nominated directors are Jacques Audiard for Amélie Perez, not a surprise. Sean Baker for Honora, of course. Edward Berger for Conclave. Brady Corbett for Brutalist. I think we all expected that. And then James Mangold gets in for A Complete Unknown. I really like A Complete Unknown. That's kind of a surprise to me.
Yeah. All I heard about these nominations was the snub. Yet again, not having Denny is a big fear that people have because he also wasn't nominated, right? That was the whole bit for 2021, the first one. Gets nominated with every technical thing except, the guy steering the ship. Brady. It's Brady. I believe.
Yeah, I would be happy
Great
with
speeches.
this one going to Brady. I'd also be happy with Sean Baker, even if Honor isn't my favorite
Surprising,
movie.
yeah. After that big con win, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Brady's been given the best speeches. The way he's able to connect to what's happening on that day, and just to speak less about his win and more about the people out there. It's been a blast hearing him speak.
Yeah, a lot of people talk about the Golden Globes as sort of like your audition for the Oscars, and he nailed the audition.
If there was an audition, yeah, because it feels like he's just being him. And I saw him on whatever other award that Robert Pattinson gave to him. Great speech where he was talking about the fires and how he had lost his house to a fire. He knew the rebuilding stage so that he was with them. I was like, damn, bro. It's like when someone tells you I'm here for you when you lose somebody. He's the guy who might show up. Shout out Brady. First time theatrical feature film.
Yeah, this was the really interesting one because the directors nominated include Payal Kapadia for All We Imagine Is Light. A lot of people are really into it. Ramel Ross, who we were huge fans of Nickel Boys.
He's funnier than I thought he was. I've heard him talk. I did not think the guy who made that movie was that funny.
I mean, he's like a former basketball player for Georgetown or something. The man's lived a few different lives already.
Oh, that I've scratched the surface on this man. That's so fascinating.
Halfdan Ullman Tondil for Armand.
Yeah.
Sean Wang for Dee Dee. And then Megan Park for My Old Ass, her second film.
I mean, I think you and I preferred her first film, but why not?
Yeah, I mean, well, she's nominated here for first time theatrical feature film. I guess it's because The Fallout went straight to Max and was nominated for an Emmy and is considered a TV movie.
Nah, you got it there. Because Ramel also did a doc. That's a feature film.
Well, that's the other thing is that this might be the first time I'm going to assume it is, that two first-time feature film director nominees were both previously nominated for Oscars. Ramel Ross for his documentary Hale County This Morning, This Evening, and Sean Wang for 99 Wipo, the short.
Which he should have won. Yeah. I like Ramel here.
Yeah, it's a great look. I think he should be in the top 5 for director, but luckily DGA has an extra category to put some people like this.
I'm a little curious on this right here, though. What's with the whole Megan Park didn't have a unit production, a first assistant director? So what's happening here? Are we just missing stuff?
I don't know why he's the only one on the DGA website
because it makes it look like
team credited.
No, I think they all had someone. So just to note that out there for those who maybe.
I wonder, like,
it is always it's a team.
Just gotta, like, they haven't submitted credits or something.
I don't know. We had some TV ones. I don't know if anything stood out to you, but I'm going Shogun for most of them.
I mean, it's
maybe
Shogun.
There.
Shogun dominated the dramas. The Bear dominated the comedies. I think we can expect
some hacks
that.
In there.
Yeah,
Iowa Debris, good for her.
Yeah, that was kind of the big news, right? That she got a DGA nomination for Napkins. Penguin dominated in limited series.
Oh, yes, at 3.
Yeah.
Damn. R.I.P. Ripley. Sorry, man. It might still get it.
Yeah.
If it's per episode. Achievements in a variety talk shows. Let's see. Any variety talk shows that stand out to us? You didn't get your Netflix one, bro.
Oh, John Mulaney? No, it didn't get in there, unfortunately.
Terrible. Yeah. Direction, achievements, variety talk show. Hamish Hamilton for the Oscars. Tom Brady roast. The live election language. No, stop. 77th annual Tony Awards or Ali Wong Single Lady. Some of these awards is just funny, bro. Like, how are these all random? Random as can be. I don't know. Roast of Tom Brady. I don't care. Neil deGroot. Actually, no. The Oscars was good last year. The Oscars had the Barbie bit. That was still last year's.
Yeah.
It was a good one last year.
It was a good directed. It was a good show.
Reality. I don't really care unless you do. Children's programming. All right, let's look the serious. Let's go one by one. We'll go down to the unit production manager. Commercials. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Oh, Tim Heidecker with a nom on something.
Yeah. Tim and Eric. Tim and Eric have a really successful career doing
marketing
commercials now. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been seeing this man pop up with what's his name? Reviewing movies
on cinema at the cinema. Yeah.
Unbelievable. They're like
shout
still
out to my guy Eddie Alfano, who's on that show.
Ridiculous. He's the one, right? Is that him?
No. He's the bald dude.
What's his name, bro? He was in the
Joey or
fortune
something?
cookie movies.
Oh, you're talking about Neil Hamburger?
Is that his name?
I think so. I think that's who you're talking about, at least.
What's the movie that came? No, something Tucker. Tucker.
Greg Turkington. Yeah.
Greg Turkington. This
Neil
man.
Hamburger's the character, I think, that he plays.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, because they're idiots reviewing movies, bro.
Yeah.
He said better, man. He goes, it reminds me, it's Robbie Williams. Yes, Robin Williams, not from Bicentennial Man. It's the dumbest reviews out there. Shout out them. Yeah. This is the man right here. Hilarious. Watch. What's the movie I just mentioned? Fremont. He's really funny in Fremont.
Yeah. Really funny in the movie Entertainment, I think it was.
Entertainment. A few years ago. Let me pull out a poster over here. Oh, yeah, right there. Yeah, you have recommended that one. But I think that's it for
well, so those are the only guild nominations we can really talk about, right? Or you want to talk about the documentary briefly?
Just a really quick one right here. Porcelain War. It's getting theatrical. Sugarcane was winning some awards. Soundtrack was good. Hollywood Gate. But I like seeing Daughters there. As long as we secure a nomination for Daughters, that's really all that matters.
Absolutely. And those are the only guild nominations we have to talk about, because the Writers Guild and Producers Guild both delayed the announcement of their nominations. So we'll catch up with those whenever we can. But I thought these charts that Eric Anderson at Awards Watch on Twitter put together were pretty interesting ways to look at like the state of the Oscars race, like which people are securing which precursor awards, to let you know who the front runners are. And you've pulled up the best actor spreadsheet right now, and you can see that like Adrian Brody, Timothy Chalamet, Daniel Craig, Coleman Domingo, Ray Fiennes, they are making every precursor that you kind of want in order to secure that best actor nomination.
So these are good breakdowns. We should link the guy's Twitter thing, but Zach also put them in a nice little format so that you could see them. It's a really good way to see, like, okay, these are probably the lock. They're sweeping. These are the outliers. But it also puts other people on your radar, because again, let me go over here with the supporting one. That's what got me more interested in catching Showgirl, when I was like, wait, really, her?
Jamie Lee Curtis, she's even on the radar for Best Supporting Actress.
So like over here as well, Emily Watson, Small Things Like These. I got to get on that one. That's a VOD that I'm missing up on. So no, I think it's a cool way to see how they've been listed, who's having a really good run, good stats. That's really what this era is. These next 2 months, all stats right there. So definitely give a gander at those. I don't know if there was one you wanted to point out, or we'll link them down below so that people can keep an eye on it.
Yeah, what was one of the interesting ones? I mean, you have actress pulled up, which is a pretty interesting one, because according to the precursors, there are 4 clear frontrunners in Cynthia Erivo, Sophia Gascon, Mikey Madison, Demi Moore, who've been nominated for BAFTAs, for Critics' Choice, for Golden Globes, for Screen Actors Guild. And then it's a little more up in the air, right? Like we have some Pam Anderson, we have some Marianne Jean-Baptiste, we have some Nicole Kidman and Angelina Jolie and Kate Winslet and Amy Adams. Fernanda Torres like barely shows up on this list. So crazy. that 5th slot is a little up in the air, at least if you look at what has come before it.
Yeah, and you see the same thing with the supporting one.
Oh, yeah, supporting actress is all over the place.
Exactly. And then the director's one, you kind of see, okay, there's a 4 solid one there. Will the missing nomination for Corley be big when it's the director's one? It's fascinating stuff to look at. So keep an eye out for these. Let us know your thoughts on that, what you have as your Oscar frontrunners, but also, even more importantly, the ones in your heart. Before we jump into this next segment over here, I want to give a big shout out to our Intercut Awards, the award show where you get to be heard, Intercuties. We've been doing this show for a couple of years now, where we go and we pick our favorites. We like to do our best performers, combining all of them together. Best supporting performances, best role player. We all have a role that we know is just too tiny to be nominated for something else. We like shouting out all of those categories. We'll be doing a video very soon, kind of giving you guys the invite on where to vote down below. You guys have kept up with all of our stuff. Now we want to hear from you. What are your favorites? We open it up for y'all to vote, and even get y'all to be a part of the show by recording one of the segments where you get to read off the Intercutie winner. We get our picks, but we always love to hear from y'all. I want to mention it now because we'll be working on that leading up to the Oscars. So we have until March. to put the bad boy together. But
yeah, I think
some of you know it.
we're gonna open the voting next week, and it'll be open until around February 17th. So you'll get around a
More
month
than enough
to,
time.
yeah, plenty of
Catch
time
up.
to submit your nominees. And then we'll try and get that award show on in the days leading up to the Oscars. Is, you know, we gotta stake our ground before the Academy tries to say what they think the best movies are. We'll get there
Ridiculous.
first. Yeah.
We're here to honor movies for real, for real. So keep an eye out for that one. Let us know the movies that you have. Just like at the top of the show, we're getting some recommendations to seek out. But that is all for movies news. Let's get into the new to see. Everything coming out in theaters,
Let's do it.
VOD, or some TV series. The first one that I've got over here, I'll be at a screening of this tomorrow. And I like this guy's movies, but 3 for 3 on this man, bro. Every time I make a video, he hits it. Lee Wynell has an interesting track record. I thought he did some really good stuff last time with The Invisible Man and the way he was capturing that story. I think Upgrade's really solid. All those videos have been hit whenever I critique them. So I know if I have something bad to say for The Wolfman, it's going to get hit, but I'm not going to lie. It looks beautifully shot. I believe this was the one where they were like moving through a lot of actors. They ended up with Christopher Abbott, Julia Garner. That's not a bad cast for me. I'm excited to see what they bring with this.
Yeah, I mean, Lee Wynell, I think, is one of our more underrated horror directors out there. He's got a few hits on the track record by now, and I mean, I was a fan of Invisible Man, so I'm very curious about this one as well. Great cast.
I think he's gonna do that same thing where it's like the Wolfman is the premise, but in reality, what's the themes that it's saying? And Christopher Abbott's the perfect guy to get for that. Big screenings out for this for influencers. We went to go see all of our movies, and all of the studio people were there hosting this for everyone who came in with 360 cameras. Like, there's got to be, I mean, I know it's influencers already, but like there was a whole rollout just for people to get drinks and stuff to see this movie. So this is very much being pitched by the studios as a fun time. No critic screenings for this one. Sometimes I don't know what I am to them. I don't get a critic screening because I'm an influencer, but then I don't get the influencer because I'm a critic screening. I'll be too hard on it. I think the trailers look funny for what it is. I say this all to say as no one has seen this movie unless you get paid. I said to see this movie. So the real reviews will be coming out on Thursday. But it looks funny. And the fact Maude Apatow is there makes me wonder, okay, y'all may still have some of that juice from the early 2000s like her daddy did.
Right. I also think that comedies like this tend to just do bad with critics, right? Like, I feel like the comedies that stand the test of time are often not, they don't quite hit in the moment. And then it's only years later you realize, oh, wait, that was all really funny. I don't know.
And especially for critics when they're not in tune to this, right? Like you can't talk about how none of the critics look like the actors in this movie and then want reviews from the people who don't look or will understand anything in the movie. So yeah, that makes sense. But it's also just rare to see comedies. You and I cover movies. We know everything that comes out. I almost want to support it just to support comedies.
Yeah. I was just looking it up. Damn. Somebody said the highest grossing comedy of the last year, and I couldn't believe what it was, but they're not releasing a lot of comedies in theaters anymore. Yeah. I'll look it up when we do this next one.
For sure. The next one that we have also coming out is one we've talked about before. It's September 5th. It's finally getting a wider release. This did not come out in September. It did not come out in November when it was supposed to, or December. Got pushed all the way back to January. I think they were playing that game of hoping to see more nominations. I still think it's a very tight thriller, worth seeing in the theater. Definitely catch it once it's out. It's a movie to have on your watch list. I may continue to get some awards here and there. One that is interesting. It is not playing anywhere near me. It's just a regular rom-com. I really don't care, Zach. But Julia Stiles is directing a movie called Wish You Were Here. That alone, I was like, when did we make the jump?
Okay.
I feel like this may end up just coming out virtually, but for the time being, she is directing two pretty big actors, in my opinion. You got Isabel Fuhrman, always pretty solid in the movie she's in. Everyone knows her as the orphan. And then the man who never came back as Aladdin because he was talking a lot of smack. He's also a pretty decent actor. I think they'll have good chemistry in this, but I'm just really intrigued. Julia Stiles making the director run there.
Making the jump.
That'll be pretty interesting. And wrapping up the movies at home. Don't even have to go out. Back in action, Cameron Diaz, Jamie Foxx's clone. In the new movie coming out, should be okay. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is an action movie. They put a genre mix to the comedy, and they couldn't get it into theaters. So
yeah,
that's another reason I want to support the other one.
Right. I mean, it is Netflix. It's also intriguing just because this is the return of Cameron Diaz. It's been a decade,
Talk
basically,
about
since
it,
we've
dude.
gotten her
It's been too
on our screens.
long.
Yeah, and I really like
Wow.
Cameron.
She's the GOAT. Come on. No, yeah. So this should be good. I
Yeah.
hope this one is one of those that delivers. And you'll be able to see it at home. Let me see this
My
direction.
hopes are maybe like a little delusionally high, just because I don't know, man. Seth Gordon doesn't have exactly a great track record.
Horrible
but
Bosses isn't bad.
Yeah, Horrible Bosses is good. Four Christmases isn't bad. Identity
Isn't the
Thief,
worst. I like
let's
For
not talk about.
Christmases. Yeah. His segment in Freakonomics, though, bro. Like when you really take that into account.
Yeah.
That'll be out this week. Probably one of the bigger ones out in the comfort of your own home. But then we got 2 series wrapping up. Silo. Got to catch up on season 1. Definitely worth one to have on your list. And season 2 is decent. It's pretty good too. But I think season 1 is stronger. They're going to be continuing this for a couple more because I believe it is based off of a series. But it's pretty solid. Catch this one on Apple TV because I can't upload it on IMDb. But other than Silo, they are also bringing back. It's just an Apple TV weekend, bro. Severance. They're on your account, boy.
Wait, are they? Because they weren't for a little bit.
I think they're. I'm just saying. I think they're in your account already because people have been watching it. I have not dipped in there yet, but it's time to. You know what? Simulcast from right now. Yeah. They're also doing a really big thing, which is putting the Severance episodes on Tubi. Big, massive push that I said is something most of these shows should be doing. I'd even talked about streamers last week now doing old anime shows. Did you see? Because I got to mention it. I think it's important. They've got Kai doing Batman, Arkham, all the Arkham games completely cleared by WB. These are big things. They will come back to help a lot of YouTubers and other people in this copyright, CC world that we're in. That's a big thing. They're realizing, we can make a lot more money out of this. And they've always known.
And Apple also, I think, realizes that they just kind of need eyes on this show, particularly. I'm sure they've spent a lot of money considering what a big hit this is and how much they want it to be.
And they gave them the time.
Right. This almost feels like old forgotten news now, but remember that everybody had those free Apple TV Plus trials for months and months and months, and that was the time when people were first
Everyone saw
watching
Severance.
Exactly, right? Those free trials are up. People aren't on Apple TV Plus like that. If you want people to watch it, you might have to make it free to entice people through the door.
No, I think it's only season 1. Not season 2. They want to get people to be like, this is interesting. On that cliffhanger, what? I got to pay for it.
I got to sign up for the second season.
They're treating him like Netflix treated Fincher.
Yeah.
This is that core thing to be able to build audiences. I think it's going to be worth it. I've heard mixed things on season 2, though. But like Lost and all the great shows before it, season 2 has to get the slump. It's building up to something. But that would be the biggest one coming out this week. From there, we then give you our picks for the week, all the stuff that came out either this week, last week, that we think is worth putting on your radar. And the first one I'm starting off with is a Netflix show that made me want to reboot Red Dead Redemption, bro. It is American Primeval, something like that. I think they did what's his name dirty. Netflix just posted up Horizon, and then they have a better version of Horizon ready to go.
Poor
Fantastic
Costner.
show. I'm a big Western guy. I like Horizon. That's how big of a Western guy I am. Zach, have you caught any of this yet?
I caught the first one last night.
Bro, that opening scene, or I should say the opening scene, the midway scene of the attack.
Yeah, the first big action scene. Brutal.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
This show is it. Catch it if you can. They've spared no expense on this. The cast is fantastic. Shout out Betty Gilpin.
Yeah.
Lena's like, Taylor Kitsch is good all the time. I said, I told you to watch. What's that?
That's my man, John Carter from Mars right there.
And
he's Riggins from Friday Night Lights, of course.
There we go.
Clear Eyes, Full Hearts.
He's back, bro. It's a really great show. It's so expansive. You also have Dane DeHaan in this.
Yeah,
coming in. I miss Dane DeHaan. He's been out for a while. It's a sick show. Catch it. It's fully realized, very impactful, and definitely worth your 4K subscription if you've got one. American Primeval.
If Peter Berg directed all of it or just the beginning of it, because I know he directed the first episode, and he's the dude who knows his way around an action scene.
Yeah, he'll take the whole thing.
Yeah.
Let me see. I'll pull it up over here. All six, baby.
There
All
we
six.
go. That's not
That
surprising.
explains everything you need. Fantastic show. Already, we got a contender for one of the best of the year for sure. The next one would be on that big movie day where I went. Snuck in this little bad boy, The Girl with the Needle. What better way to start off the movie day than with the most absurd hidden gem out there? We talk about hidden gems. Zach, I know why they have this gem hidden. When the title sequence happens, you're like, okay. You think you know what this movie is about, and then the second half becomes a completely different movie. World War times. German, if I'm not mistaken, just trying to survive. Woman tries to get rid of her baby and ends up, I want to say, in an even bigger dilemma than trying to get rid of that child.
Danish, I believe. They're in Copenhagen, Denmark.
Danish.
Yeah.
Apologies. Dude,
No worries.
this thing is wild. I know Caitlin caught it. Did you catch it yet?
No, I have not, but I have a link, so it's on my agenda this week.
Dude, so I got the 12 p.m. showing. It was the last showing, and it was just individual solo people going to it.
Damn.
I don't know when this comes out to movie because it's supposed to be a movie original.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. Put it on your radar. The guy had recently done a movie that won Chicago, which was Sweat. Thought it was okay.
Yeah.
This one is so much better, and it is going to piss people off. I think it's a very interesting conversation. But I can see why people were definitely pushed back from it. It goes places. Girl with the Needle out in limited at this point, but will be coming out to movie very soon. So expect digital.
This one made the Academy Awards shortlist for International Feature Film, one of 15 movies. Are you hoping it makes that final 5 now?
I kind of like it. I'm not gonna lie. Off the top of my head, I feel other ones that I would have underneath it will take its spot, but I think it's in my top 10 right now in terms of international films. And then my last one, your favorite of the year, A Different Man, coming out to HBO Max. So you have no excuse to miss it unless you're not paying the $49 for HBO Max. But hey, it's out there. One of the great performances of last year. Also a supporting performances that hasn't been getting enough love. Obviously, the movie, once you watch it, we'll explain to you as you already know why. But no, a really off-kiltered movie that we got from Sundance this year, making its way onto streaming. And I hope it does really well there.
Absolutely. I loved it a lot. I named it my favorite movie of the last year. I think it has a lot of very fascinating ideas about whether or not we make ourselves or our circumstances make us. It's also a really incredible look at the ideas of representation in film. We were joking about how like they kind of have arguments like, should there be representation? Do we need representation? Why don't we just do both? And you get, as a result, you get great performances from not just Sebastian Stan, but Adam Pearson. Hope people check this one out. It's such a absurd, dark existentialist comedy. It's a really fascinating film. So I'm going to double up with you and make that my first pick for the week. At one now that's available on Max. Yeah.
We forgot to mention last time for the Globes, he had shouted out something I didn't know. He said, shout out Mike Marino. The guy who did The Weeknd's entire makeup and the guy who did the Penguin.
Right. Yes.
Bro, Mike Marino, you were already a GOAT in my eyes, bro. I bought the Fangoria cover where it had all of your breakdown for the stuff. You did this too. Screw you, bro. You're talented. When we first saw this at Sundance, it was an early morning screening. We know we were half asleep. We were like, wait, that wasn't the other guy that was makeup?
Yeah.
Not
incredible
enough
stuff.
credit is being given there. No, great pick for A Different Man. Love it. Out on Max.
I'll turn the clock back for my next pick for the week, and it's just all the Naked Gun movies, all 3 of them. They are available on Paramount Plus to stream, and they're still funny. There's definitely some stuff in there that feels a little bit dated, but my God, there are so many jokes in this thing, and it's just the tone, right? The Abrams and Zucker, zany, joke a minute or joke a second kind of thing is so fun, and Leslie Nielsen is just incredibly hilarious in this film. I wanted to make sure I watched all 3 movies in the trilogy because they are making a direct sequel later this year that we talked about on our most anticipated movies of the year, starring Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson, directed by the Lonely Island's Akiva Schaffer. So I had to do up my research and re-immerse myself in the world, and I'm still so glad that it exists. If you're just looking for a fun diversion, you could do a lot worse. It's also just a very easy movie to throw on and laugh at whatever jokes you catch while you're doing other stuff. So really like the Naked Gun movies. Catch all of them on Paramount Plus. It's also just very funny to see, O.J. Simpson really great in a movie before all the stuff happened. A lot of stuff happened after.
It's insane. It's ridiculous. We'll see where they take it.
Yeah. And then my last pick for the week, I'm going to give a shout out to Severance. That first season is still really incredible. If they can even touch, a bit of its quality, I think this is going to be a really riveting series of television. It's been so long in the making. You'd like to think that they're ready to deliver. First reviews aren't exactly amazing. They're not terrible, but they're not
terrible.
Glowing. We'll judge for ourselves soon.
We will. It sounds like a Bear season 3. They took it places. Some people may not be vibing with it, but it looks like they're going for something. And he said season 3's in the works already. So
yeah.
We'll
Apple didn't give me the screeners yet, by the way. They're holding out, being
what?
stingy. Yeah.
Oh, that is lame, bro.
Yeah.
Boo.
See, you know what I was excited about? They gave me the Seth Rogen comedy, The Studio, that I'm really hyped for. I haven't got any of them yet, but 3 months early. They're
So do you get the 3 months early show? They ain't got no artwork, but they don't give you ridiculous, bro. Especially because you get them automated. That happened to me last time where I was getting them automated. You had mine, and then they switched. Now you get automated, but someone has to go out of the way to not give it to you.
Right?
Blows my mind.
They unchecked that box.
Unreal. And then in the meantime, you see them get uploaded online. Anyway, running it back. I've got American Primeval, like I said, over on Netflix. One of the best Westerns that I've seen in a minute. And one of the best shows so far of the year. Really like this one. Give it a watch. The Girl with the Needle set the tone for my movie day that day. It is brutal. It is raw. Really great performances and a very messed up story that will have people split. And then we got the twofers over here. Both of us going with a different man coming out to Max. Really, really good movie. Hidden gem to a degree, right? If I look over here, 118, not too bad. But it's been getting awards. It's been that indie that could.
Like a classic Gotham pick, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
and then Zach's got some throwbacks.
I'm doubling up on The Different Man. Great movie. Hope more people catch it. Throwing back to Naked Gun because those movies are really funny and most of that stuff just holds up incredibly well. And you know what? I'm also throwing it back in a way to Severance because it's been years since we have new Severance on our TVs.
I think it came out before Airplane, bro. At that point, it's been so long. But that's all the stuff for this week. A big thank you for everyone who's been listening in. You can find more from me over at LME Movies. You can find Zach over at
Multiplex Show, wherever you find videos, or at Zshevich across social media for just, me talking about stuff.
Find us over on the Intercut Pod on all handles, all that good stuff as well, Zach, as the new way that you can catch us. I don't know if you heard, but I don't know what you're flying over to Sundance, but you may be able to listen to the Intercut podcast from your airplane as they ink a deal with YouTube. So, hey, even when you're high and above the clouds, you'll still be able to tune into the Intercut podcast in all places. A reminder that you can catch more from this or all of our episodes over on the Intercut podcast on iTunes, Anchor, Spotify, all that good stuff, or every week here on the Intercut podcast channel on YouTube, where we go through the weekend must-watch picks, all of the good stuff. Big shout out to all the Intercuties who listen live, all the patrons, and everyone who leaves a 5-star review over on iTunes. They can leave us reviews on Spotify as well.
Yeah, we get reviews on Spotify.
You could tweet stars at us. You can Facebook poke us. All of that social media stuff helps in one way or another. And it's what gets us to chart over in
Japan, Hong Kong, Norway, Turkey, Czechia, South Africa, Spain, Thailand, Poland, Portugal, Italy, Germany, Netherlands, the UAE, Estonia, Singapore, Ecuador, Canada, where we had a really good week. And of course, right here in the United States, where we also had a pretty good week. We're in the top 50 for film reviews.
Hey, we're about to give you a lot more as we get closer to Sundance, the Oscars, all that good stuff. Don't forget to leave us a comment, drop a like, follow all the socials over on Intercut Pod. And until next time, keep watching movies. Peace.